Good morning, guys. It is currently 7:35 a.m. I have been up for an hour just kind of debating the day. So on Wednesday, I started The Anatomy of Story Chapter 3. So that's the 7 story structures, and it went way easier than the premise chapter. Do I know my premise? I feel like this chapter helped me get there, but I am still none the wiser. How do I explain this? I know it because it's in my head, but I don't know how to verbalize it because summarizing things is tough for me. This is why I need to work on short stories. Yeah, I'm not very good at condensing my words, but yeah, it went really well. I pretty much finished the chapter on Wednesday. I reread some parts on Thursday, which was yesterday, and then I also started answering some of the questions. Not all of them, but we're getting there. And then today I'm going to finish that up so I can hopefully start the next one. The premise chapter took so long that I just thought maybe this is a vlog per chapter, just like breaking it all down. But this one was so simple and I didn't even vlog any of it. Well, I still have like a little bit left to go through that. Now I'm like, maybe this is just all one vlog for the entire book. I don't know what's gonna happen. Who knows what the next chapter will bring. Maybe I'll decide once I'm like halfway done. Editing Hudson here. Hey, how's it going? Will this be the last time I interrupt one of these vlogs? Who knows? This is probably the issue with filming all of these and not editing them until months after they were filmed. Well, it's only been a month after. Or a week? I don't know. Time is an illusion right now, especially when you're in the middle of moving. But regardless, the point is that I just want to say I think this will end up being one vlog per chapter, not because I'm trying to like stretch it out or anything. If I were to combine all of these chapters into one vlog, it would probably end up being around an hour, 2 hours long, because with each chapter, I am having mini epiphanies about either myself as a writer or the novel I'm currently working on, other novels, or how I approach writing in general. And they're just things I'd like to discuss. This writing series on my channel is about documenting my journey as a writer. So it just makes better sense to split it by chapter. This one might be shorter than the others, but I'm a bit farther along in the book currently, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this vlog is already so long for just this one chapter coming up, and I'm like, I'm not even done with the chapter. That's why that decision was decided. So, let's continue back to the video. Are we gonna focus on my face now, please? Please? I have tried filming this way too many times. I don't know what is going on, but my camera will not focus on my face. And you might be a little bit crooked, but I'm not gonna jinx it just in case it's focusing. I finished teaching my private this morning. It went really well. It did go over though, just because we are planning what is going on with this outfit? We're planning a yoga night for her and her friends. So we had to discuss what direction we're going with that. It's gonna be chakra themed, so I wanted to make sure she was, sorry, I just feel like I look like a hot mess right now. It's gonna be chakra themed, so I wanted to make sure she was cool with all that stuff, and yeah, everything just took way longer than it should have. That by the time I got home, it was midday. Hadn't eaten anything because of the fact that I just didn't have any food. I'm not a skip breakfast type of person. I need breakfast in the morning. So I bought 2 burritos, ate those, and then I like couldn't move because I was so starved beforehand that I had to regenerate my energy. But that's getting off topic. So when I was laying there though, I was thinking for my story, and I feel like I've figured out a way how to finish this section that I need to figure out, which is super great. So I'm gonna work on that as well as get changed to go to a yoga class for me, because this is like teaching attire. Normally I actually don't wear a t-shirt underneath, but I think I've mentioned this. Me and tight clothes just do not get along right now, and some days like sports bras are just too tight for me to wear, so I had to do like normal t-shirt underneath my yoga romper. So I'm just gonna leave the rest of the night to eating and writing. It is Sunday and I finished. I'm pretty sure I finished. Where is the book? I set up this whole thing and I forgot to grab the book. But I finished chapter 3, which is the story structure. This sounds really weird because this is obviously the second video of the series, but it's about chapter 3. This one was way easier than the premise. I feel like I've completed everything a bit more. With the premise chapter, I still am going back and like changing it, but I feel like as each chapter goes on, you learn more and more about the last chapter's questions, and then things become more solidified. I don't know. It's going really well. I'm feeling really confident in where I'm at, so that is good. And basically, it's kind of hard to explain, so let's just look at the document. So to make this video a lot shorter, I'm not going to go into full detail about what everything stands for. On the right hand side is a very quick notes versions question, so I could just literally write it in. But this main page goes into more detail. So it's like, oh, maybe I'm struggling to fill out one of them. I just find it on here. So I'm just gonna scroll up and down right now, and you can screenshot wherever you want if you would like more detail. But the main thing I'm gonna focus on from this chapter is the place where I struggled, which is the psychological and moral need. Now, I've always understood the psychological need, which is, you know, that's the thing that's hurting your hero, but I've never thought of the moral need, which is how it's hurting others. And I mean, it makes sense. I'm just very much struggling figuring that out for my story right now. And I think the big issue is that the films that they mentioned throughout this book, I have not seen. And I know I should probably get to watching them because I feel like then the book would be more helpful. On the back, it said that the guy who wrote the Shrek film used this book. And so I keep picturing the movie Shrek and be like, okay, so what was Shrek's moral need? And I feel like I've thought way too much about Shrek throughout the entirety of reading this book. And so I am struggling finding out my story's moral need. I feel like I'm going to go back to that, like the more I figure out elsewhere, kind of like how with each chapter I've been working on, I've been closer to really solidifying my premise. So I'm hoping the same will happen for my moral need. Also, what really helped within this chapter, we finally did the bullet points of what's happening in the story. And something I've learned through this is that I think I need to do that first. Just like bullet point your entire story of the scenes that you know, because once I did that, a lot of this was easier. Just saying. One thing I will say though, while filling this out, this chapter of The Anatomy of Story kind of forced me to accept that this might not be a good debut novel. There's a lot of different types of stories I want to write, but I mainly want to write within the adult genre. And this book, though adult, the main character is a 14-year-old boy. Obviously, I won't know till I finish writing it, but I do have some reservations about whether or not it will sound adult, because it kind of is a good coming of age story in a way, and from what I have seen and read about young adult, that is what it's meant for. I am firmly deciding that I'm not going to decide until I finish writing it, see where it stands. But if that is the case, this can't be the debut novel, just because I find that if you start your publishing career with adult, regardless of what genre, it's easier to stay an adult author while writing young adult. Through studying authors that I love and respect and ones I maybe have never read, I've noticed that they do struggle going from young adult to adult. So that's an issue. And I know someone might be like, well, why not the high fantasy? From my research, I have noticed that authors do struggle writing standalone novels after series. And by the way, this is all if you keep the same pen name. And I don't want to change my pen name. I have it down pat, and I want to keep everything under that if possible. So that's why I'm being very particular about the order I publish in. Obviously you can't control everything, but that's just something I'm kind of dealing with right now. And I do have a lot of story ideas that I want to write, which is good. I think I mentioned in my 2020 goals how I would like to plot quite a few novels this year. So I'm not so much worried about any of this, because I don't plan on starting to publish for like 5 years. I would like to have a lot of books written before I begin to publish. Maybe sooner. It'd be nice if it's sooner, but you know, writing does take a while. I've kind of reached this like realization that this might not be the debut, even though this book that I'm plotting right now was the first real story that I saw like fully in my mind. I was like, I want to publish this one day. It's not like the first story I wrote, but it was the first story that I saw the potential in how it should be. With you and your publishing journey, if you're someone who is publishing, do you have this same issue where you know what you want to do, but because you want to write so much, you find that you can't, that you have to publish in a certain order? Or am I just making up all this stuff in my head? Yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts on this. Please comment, like, subscribe, all of the above, whatever you want. It's up to you. And we can have a full-on discussion about this in the comments. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.